Hey guys, welcome back. We are doing homework for 625 today. All right, so we're going to start off with number 92, which asks us to look at these two similar triangles below and find the scale factor for the missing side length. So we can see that we're missing an x over here and we're missing a y right there. All right, so the first thing that you want to look at, you want to find two sides that are on the same side of the shape that are in the same position. So for instance, this bottom piece right here and this bottom piece right here are both filled in and given to us. Okay. Notice like we can't use this side, this like height length, because I'm missing the x, even though I have the 8. And we can't use this diagonal piece or the hypotenuse because I don't have a y. So we're going to use the base or the bottom of the triangle. And we're just going to ask ourselves, well, what did we have to do to get from 6 to 18? I can see, I multiplied by, and so it's going to be like multiplied by something. I multiplied by 3, right? Because 3 times 6 is 18. So in order to figure out these other side lengths, like that's going to help us. We can do the same thing here, right? We can take our 8 and we can multiply it by 3 to give us 24, which is what our x value is. So x has to equal 24 millimeters. Again, because 8 times 3 is 24. That's how we knew. We can do the same thing for our y, except notice we have a larger number. So instead of multiplying, right, to give us an even larger triangle, we have to divide by 3 to get the smaller amount. So taking 30, dividing by 3 to give us the y, which would be 10. 30 divided by 3 equals 10. Okay? So hopefully that's not too tough for you with similar shapes. Number 93 says that Alex and Maria were trying to find the side labeled x in the problem 692, which was the one that we just did. Their work is shown below. So we can see, that we have, I think this is one of them. Sorry, they kind of got weirdly mixed here. And this is one of the other people's. So for letter A, that's the important part, right? Because Maria here says that I remember that when we're dilating shapes, my shape got bigger when I divided it by 1/3. So we have to look at each person's work. Why do both multiplying by 3 and dividing by 1/3 make the triangles larger? Well, a piece of that, right, is because, or we'll just do it as I talk, dividing by 1/3 or like 3.3 repeating will undo multiplying by 1/3 by 1/3. Okay. Multiplying makes it smaller and dividing makes it larger is kind of how fractions work. So with fractions, when we're multiplying, you can just kind of remember that it's going to, with a fraction, it's going to make it smaller, the number smaller. When we're dividing, it's going to make it larger. So it doesn't matter if you're multiplying by 3 or dividing by 1/3, they're both going to increase the size of the number. All right. Then for letter B, use Alex and Maria's strategy to write two expressions to find the value of y in both problems. Remember, y was the like diagonal part. You have your sheet in front of you, so that should help. Okay, so we had 30, right, divided by 3 equals 10. We're just kind of rewriting that information that we had up top. And then also 30 times, you can either do like the little dot or you could do like the parentheses like I like to do. 1/3 is also going to equal 10. So we just want to see that you know both ways to kind of solve that. All right, flipping it on over. We have some graphing that we're going to do here. So it says consider the two equations, and then it gives us each. We're going to graph both equations on the same set of axes, and then we're going to solve it using equal values to figure out the solution. All right, so the first one, remember whenever we're graphing, we start with the like the b in the equation, so the number that's by itself, not the x. And in this case, it's -2. So on my y-axis, I need to go and find -2, and that's going to be my first point where I start from. Then my x number, the number in front of the x, tells me the growth. So that's telling me I need to go up 3, 1, 2, 3 for my original point. And since it's positive growth, we're moving 1 to the right for positive. And I just continue in that way. 1, 2, 3 up, 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3 up, 1 to the right. And then I can also grow it in the opposite direction too by going 1, 2, 3 down and then 1 to the left. Just like that. So once you have a few points on, you can draw your line through your points. It'll be a straight line since it's linear. And then we can draw the next one. So this one, remember, we have to start with the number that's not with the x. So in this case, the 4. We find 4 on the x-axis, and it is positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Okay. That wasn't like me counting. That was just my first point. All right, and then it's growing by 3. So that means we're moving up 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1 because it's positive. We can also grow it in the opposite direction because I'm kind of running out of room by going down 3, 1, 2, 3 to the left 1. Again, down 3, 1, 2, 3 to the left 1. And I'll put one more on there. And then we draw our line. All right, and as you can see, these lines are pretty even, right, and straight. So in order to figure this out using equal values method for part B, we're going to drop off the y's and put them equal to each other. So that means we have 3x minus 2 equals 4 plus 3x. Okay, and we're just trying to get them alone. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is combine my x's, right, by subtracting 3x on either side to get them together. And what actually ends up happening, right, on both sides is that I create a 0. So all I'm left with is -2 equals 4. Sorry. Those two numbers are not equal to each other. So we'd put a slash through that and say no solution. And then for part C, I think it's going to talk about it. Explain how the answer to part B agrees with your graph that you made on part A. Well, on our first part where we graphed, we could see that those two lines did not intersect, right? They never touched each other. That's because they're both parallel, which makes sense. When we figured out our solution here and it said no solution, that means that they're never going to touch. So for our explanation, the lines are parallel, so they will never intersect. It's really hard writing and talking at the same time when you're not saying the same thing. Alrighty, number 95. So we have these hollyhocks. It's some sort of flowering plant. Are tall, slender flowering plants, there we go, that grow in many areas of the U.S. The heights in inches of these are given to us right here, and we have to find the median. So for the median, remember, it's like the middle number. So the numbers have to, first of all, be in order, which it's nice because they already are for us, which is awesome. And then we just start from the beginning and from the end and work our way in. So we go in 1, in 1, in 1, in 1. Again, in, and then we're left with this number 47. So that would be our median. All right, then for our first quartile, we started our median and either edge, it doesn't matter. Well, sorry, for our first quartile, it does. Start at the beginning and the middle number. And again, work your way in until you get to to this, right, to our 43 for our first quartile. Yeah, my answer key or whatever that I was looking at for a second, it also found the third quartile, but it didn't ask for that, so you don't have to worry about it. And then it asks us to make a box plot of the data. So for that, there's going to be, oops, you can't see that, a nice long whisker of data. And then there will end up being our box, right? And then there will be a whisker coming off this that's a bit shorter. The reason that this one is so long is because this number represents our 10. And it's not as far away, or sorry, this one is much farther away than the 52 is. So then we would have our middle number. So this is our 10. And this would be like our average number right there, that 50%. Okay, so we just need a quick sketch, nothing crazy. All right, then on number 96, we are making a table here based on the graph that we're given. So you can go ahead and figure out these points. So we can start with this one way up here. That is, or maybe I'll start with this guy. Yeah, I could start with him too, because this is 10. And then if we bring this down, I'm going to start here. That's just going to be easier. I'll leave a couple spots and I'll come back to that one. So how many did we go up? Well, we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for 1, it looks like if I bring this down, right, you can kind of see there's that growth right there. So over 2, up 2. And then from there, I kind of could figure out my growth also, or I could just bring it, let's see, this point here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 1, 2, it looks like. -2. I'm like, what is going on? Okay. So then I can fill in the rest of my table. So if this was -3, -2, I think those points were at. This one was at 12, at 10, let's see, 6 we had, 2, and then 4 was at -2. Okay, that works, because these actually weren't points, so you can just leave those ones blank. Okay. Then write the rule in words. So we had to multiply x or times, multiply times 6 negative 2, then add 6. Okay. For kind of like our rule. So 6 times -2, and then add on 6 more. All right. And then explain how the table could help us predict the value of y when x is -8. So I could come over, right, on my x-axis to -8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I could come over, make 8. And then I could estimate, right, by kind of drawing that line up to wherever that, I know it's kind of off the sheet there, but wherever that line would kind of intersect. And I could extend my line, right, and predict where that would match up on my y-axis. So I'm just going to say I can extend my line. Perfect. To kind of estimate. It's just an estimate at that point. All right. Then for 97, it says to use the following directions to create a mystery letter on a piece of graph paper. Draw the 4 quadrants. We already have that, so we don't have to do that. Scale each axis from 6 to -6 and plot these points and connect them in order to create a rectangle. So we have to first plot those points that were given, and then be sure to connect the last point to the first, and then we start following the A, B, and C parts. So first of all, get these points on here graphed on your sheet. So we're just going up by ones, it said. So we're going to go over 2, 1, 2 on the x, and then up 1. That becomes our first point. Then we start back 2, and then up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 3, 1, 2, 3, up 4. And then 3 and 1. So you can kind of see there's just a little rectangle. We're just going to connect them all. There we go. So that's our original. Okay, for A, it says to rotate the rectangle 90 degrees clockwise around the point 2, 1, and then draw the rotated rectangle. Okay, so first of all, a rotation. Rotations mean that the 1 points typically will stay the same. Sometimes you're rotating around like a different point, but it means that we're either moving clockwise, right, to the right, like a clock would move, or counterclockwise, backwards from what a clock would move, okay? So since this time it says clockwise, that means that we're going to be moving to the right around the point 2, 1. So the point 2, 1, 1, 2, 1 is this point right here. So that means that that point is essentially not moving. You can kind of picture putting your pencil right on that point and like being able to slide this imaginary rectangle like around that point, right? Okay, and then it says it'll always give us like a number. So 90 degrees means like one turn. So it means like if my finger was here, I would slide it so that it's facing that direction. Okay, 180 would be so it's facing like that upside down direction, and the other way would be like facing to the left. I can't make my finger do that. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna redraw it with this shape kind of being turned. Okay, this point is gonna stay the same. So that means that our new shape is right here. Hopefully you can kind of see that turn. So these are my new points. And that stays the same. So this is A. I'm just going to label it A so we know which one is which. Okay, then B says reflect the new triangle, so this one, over the line y equals 2, and then draw the reflected rectangle. Remember that reflecting means that we're flipping it, okay, over that line of reflection, which in this case is y equals 2. Reflections can also go like this over a line as well. So y equals 2 is going to be here, right? Because this is where y is 2. So we're actually going to be flipping it that second way. You can kind of draw that line of reflection if that helps you. So we're going to be taking this and we're going to be flipping it up over here. So we select our first point. So I'm going to take this top left. I'm going to say how far away is it from that line of reflection? Well, it's 1 away. So from my line of reflection, I'm going to go up 1 and put my first point. I do the same thing with this, with all my points. So this one is 2 away. So from my line of reflection, I go to 2. So that's actually right on that corner. And then I do the same thing with these points. So this is 1 away. So up 1, this is 2 away. All right, so right there is essentially B, right, that goes along with this guy. And then our last one, name the letter of the alphabet that it represents. Well, that looks like a C to me. So that would be letter C. All right, hopefully you guys found that video helpful. Please feel free to ask questions if things are not making sense. Thanks for watching, guys.